Hello everybody, welcome. It's Saturday evening and we're back for the 7th hole of the Duckhook Country Club. Yes, we've already got to 7. So welcome to our double header. There's lots to talk about. Exciting times. We hope that you've had a good Saturday and yes, let's do this. So let us quickly introduce everybody. Hello everybody. Hello Fats. Hello Dylan and hello Ryan. How was your Saturdays?
All good, all good.
Good, is that the best you can do? Anybody hit some golf balls?
We had a braai, we had a few whiskies. Chilled Saturday as usual.
Good, well I'm glad to hear. Thank you for joining us and making the time to come and sit and enjoy this conversation. Right, who's our special guest today? Well, we always have a good special guest and we're welcoming back, let's give him a round of applause. We're welcoming back Basil. Right, Basil. Thank you for joining us. How you been?
Very well, thank you. Been very chilled on this Saturday. Pretty much just chilling and keeping myself busy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, can't wait to get out there as all of us are, I guess.
And I'm sure you are feeling the FOMO much more than most.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. I just want to go out and play golf. Not even just to compete, just to get out on the course.
So, okay. So, you've been watching. Are you agreeing with a lot of the selections we've made? You were on hole 3, so now 3 holes later you're back.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. I definitely have agreed on some, and I wasn't too happy about Copper Leaf, to be quite honest. But I've kind of
really okay.
Are you and I agreeing on the whole Copper Leaf there, Bill?
Sure.
It's it's a great hole, and just to recap on that hole, I think they've done well on that hole. People don't realize it, but that whole setup on that hole is actually set up towards the water, and it kind of deceives the player to set up slightly left, and as all of us do, we tend to bail out on the right. So it's a very tough hole, but beautiful scenic hole. There's nothing really wrong with it. There's nothing that distracts the point of the side of that hole. So they've done really well on that hole.
You said you disagreed with it.
Well, I did, but I'm sitting on the fence, right? So, like I said, I definitely do agree with the guys that that's definitely a proper hole on Copper Leaf all round.
Tell us, how would you play this hole from the back tees, which is about 400 meters?
So yeah, it's not a driver hole for us. Off the back we usually hit 5 with 2 iron off that, and we usually have 8, 9 iron in. Mm-hmm. A lot of the guys, like the local guys that play Copper Leaf, those who are involved with the HPC there with used to be John Dixon. I used to see the pros that they would hit driver and they would hit up the right with a big draw, and it's in the summer, it's very soft, so the guys it doesn't run out as much. So the guys are aggressive up the right there, but it's not really the play. So it's all about that second shot, getting as close as possible to the left of that fairway to have that better line in,
Yeah. 100%.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for that. So you've got us started. So we're going to do a quick recap of the holes that we have chosen. All right. Reading, first hole, par 4.
Yeah, let's go.
Fifth hole. Par 5. Then we have the first of the par 3s at Kyalami, and then Woodhill, stroke 1. And then we go to page 2, which we had Dane Fern's par 4, 370 down the meters, and then we recently added Copper Leaf's par 4. That is not 460 meters, that must be 360 meters, I apologize. And then we're going for hole 7 today, and then 8 on this page. Fantastic. Okay, so let's remind you of the holes that are up for selection today. These are the holes up for selection today. We start off, we've got 6 par 4s, 3 par 3s and 2 par 5s. So there's a nice mix to the equation. And I think ultimately, after having 3 par 4s in a row, we'll probably be looking for a par 3 or a par 5 to fill our course layout. What do we start with on our page? We started with Highlands Gate, the first of the par 3s on the list. Beautiful hole that's tucked into around about bunkers. I think everybody will agree that's a pretty hole. Then we've got Peakenwood, offers up its second par 5 of 551 meters. And I think for just about everybody, that's a 3-shot hole to get to the green. Eagle Canyon has the blind down the hill par 4. So if you get a good drive, you can be relatively close to the green. Rand Park has its challenging par 4 stroke 2 with the water running all the way down the right-hand side. Then Blue Valley's got another uphill. So that's the third hole uphill in a row, 356 meters. Serengeti has a par 4 stroke 12. I actually like this hole, where you hit your drive just over the rise, and then you've actually got a pretty approach coming down. Then Royal East has got a par 4. Glen Vista, which has been mentioned quite often, has a par 4 coming back to the clubhouse. That's also not a bad hole. Irene has the par 3. This one I think is a big contender today, probably because I think it's the most elevated hole on the course selections that we've got. Ibotsi has another par 5 that goes through the mounds, which is interesting. Houghton's got actually a very pretty par 3, and this is a second favorite so far. So it might be the battle of the par 3s, where visually it's great with the apartments creating the background. And then finally, Jackwood Creek has also got a par 3. Okay, I think today, before we go forward, I actually want to see what the polls were, and so we can go with that first. The polls: Irene's par 3 down the hill. Then we've got Houghton, so that is second. Pekinwood's par 5. Rand Park features there, and then not much for anything else. Okay, Fats, take us away with your selection for the 7th today.
It was actually quite a difficult decision for today. I've gone with Irene, the popular one. I think the only reason for me is it's an easy hole for low handicappers, higher handicappers, so it can easily be your stroke 18. Mm-hmm. And I think it's unique, the way it's been set up with the elevated tee box. Nothing special to it, but a very, very unique hole for me.
Okay. Anybody else going with Irene?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, right.
I agree with Fats. I like the craziness of the drop. It's very cool. Like he says, it's easy for high handicaps, low handicappers. Yes, it is, because it's not a long hole, but you know, it's probably one. I would imagine it's probably their signature hole, just because of its layout. I'm not 100% sure on that, but you know what? On that hole, yes, it's easy if you hit the green, and I think that's got to be your goal on that tee box. Is don't try to get cute, hit the green, and try and walk off with a 2-putt, get away with your par. You're going into quite a tricky next hole at Irene, and even so, on most likely what's going to be selected next on the Duckhook 18.
So we're looking at the par 3, as you can see, the downhill. Basil, what's your thoughts on this par 3?
I think very unique hole, and I also chose it. I think what guys don't realize, it's not a challenging hole, but because it's so short, the way to control distance with your wedges is really with trajectory. And obviously, with the huge drop, it takes that aspect almost out of it for you, and makes it very difficult. It's not a hole where you're scared of doing anything, but it makes it very difficult to hit it close and get the right yardage there. For your average golfer, he can just hit a sort of wedge or a 9-iron or whatever, and that's fine for him. And then for your good player who wants to hit the exact yardage with their wedge by controlling their trajectory, he can't really do that either. So, and then again, when it's down there, how much is the green going to spin on any given day? And again, that comes down to controlling your trajectory, which you can't do. So I do kind of like it that it's not scary. You're not going to miss the green much for a good player, but also to hit it really close is quite tough as well. Just the uniqueness of it and the way it kind of levels the playing field between mid, high, and low handicappers. So that's why I've gone for it.
Okay, Baz, your turn. You have not gone for Irene. You can give us your opinion on Irene first, and then tell us what hole you've gone for.
So I'm not against the hole. I've actually got some good memories playing that hole. Afri Asia, which was a tri-sanction event, I had my qualifier there, and I managed to qualify in that hole. And that was one of the holes that I made a late birdie on to qualify for the event. So I like the hole. I just don't like the way that it's going to sound weird, and I don't want to give them a bad sort of image, but they don't really look after that hole. It's not a nice hole that you come from the previous hole and all of a sudden the tee boxes, and it's just not so well set, and there's a power line in the background. And for me, it's nice. The elevation is good. It's the last time I checked on the yardage book, I think it's like 12-meter drop. So you're taking 12 meters off of that shot. So personally, the best par 3 on that golf course is, I think it's the 13th hole, the one before the stroke 1. Mm-hmm. So that for me is like the best par 3 on that golf course. So I'm not gonna join 3 out of 5 guys picking Irene.
So what have you gone
I don't
for?
like that hole. I've gone for Houghton, my home club, and I'm not going to sit on the fence because it's my home club, but it's just I've seen that. I've been a member at Houghton for 10 years, and I've seen them build that hole.
Yeah.
They restructured it once after the Jack Nicklaus design. They took some slopes out. They made the bunkers a bit more forgiving. They made it a semi-half island green. And just watching those apartments, blow up around that hole, it's just made it an amazing hole, beautiful hole, and it's
so you choose apartments over power lines. Is that what you say?
100%.
Come on, man! It's still man-made structures now.
It's not something that I'm not used to it. I'm not from Roodepoort, so it's not so I'm going to pick Houghton because it's just when you come up from the sixth hole, that sixth hole that you were talking about, Bill. That's just it's left and righty is apparently a no-go for that hole. So when you get onto 7, it's just like, wow, this is what we can create, and this is what I have to play. So.
And if you can only pick one hole at Houghton, is that the one you go for? Is that your best hole and your favorite hole at Houghton?
My most favorite hole on Houghton is the 18th hole. So, but Highland Gate, Royal Joburg, all those championship courses are going to steal 18th hole for me. So I must be honest, Houghton's not a championship course, but good players play well there and decent players hate it. That's fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion.
I like that choice though, Baz. I must be honest. It was I wanted a par 3 at 7, and that was actually in number 7 slot originally.
Mm-hmm.
And
what changed your mind?
Needing a par 3 towards the end of the round, and I've actually gone. I've got an interesting finish to my 18, which is par 3, par 5. And I've included Houghton as one of those last par 3s.
Look, not a bad finish. I can't be a skeptic here and say, Houghton is beautiful in every way, and you learn to love it. But the reason why you love it is because you grow. Your game grows when you play there. Don't hit it there, hit it here. So where you go to a different standard championship course, you're either going to beat it or it's going to beat you. So that's I love that 7th hole, and I've lost and I've won a lot of money on that hole, so it's very dear to me, and that'll be definitely my number 7 choice for the Duckhook.
Cool.
And also our back 9 has just got so many like amazing holes and golf courses. So we're spoiled for choice again, gentlemen.
Cool. All right, my choice for today. I thought hard. I was with Irene for a bit. Then I was on the Houghton side of things. But I thought, why not throw in another course? Why not throw in Firethorn's 7 hole? I think Firethorn's actually got a nice par 4, but yes, another par 4.
Beautiful.
We are looking for a par 3 or 5.
More power lines on that hole, guys.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, eh?
It's a very tricky stroke too. It's got water all the way on the right, so you have to stay left. A very narrow gate, depending what shot you take off the tee box. Driver, you could find yourself in trouble, but if you hit a great one, it actually makes it quite an easier hole. And then they got the bunkers protecting it in the front of the green. So that was my selection. Not a bad hole, but I don't think we're not going to go for it.
Good solid hole, yeah. It's similar in Copperleaf in a way. If you hit it closer to the water up the right-hand side, then the second shot's more up the shape of the green. Makes the second shot angle of the second shot a bit easier. Okay. And if you bail out left, especially if that has sort of slope, if you miss the fairway left, then it's quite hard to hold the ball on that green.
Cool. So I think I'm going to go for Houghton, right? So that will be my selection out of the par 3s. I was with Irene, but I changed my mind. So let's just see where we are now. So those are only the ones we've really been speaking about. So I asked the guys to give me a second opinion, just to look into some of the rest of the course selections. Dylan, your second opinion. What was your second opinion?
My second opinion was Ibotsi.
Yes, that's correct.
Again, more for the uniqueness than anything else. I was actually chatting to one of my students who's following the show, and he was asking me to describe the hole, and the more I described it, the more kind of impressed I was with the hole. So obviously we kind of get sidetracked by the two dunes off the tee box and almost a forced layup on a par 5, which is quite rare. But we don't see it much here. But I mean, with links courses, it's quite a common thing to create the blindness with two dunes flanking the fairway. I think Royal Liverpool comes to mind, Ballybunion, obviously. I think there's one down in St. Francis Links as well. In fact, probably also the 7th or 8th hole. So it's actually quite a common thing. We don't get it much here in Joburg, so maybe we don't see it. But then as I got through the hole, there's obviously a little bit of sort of dead land after that. But then once you get to the green's extremely narrow. And then there's a fairway bunker, which kind of looks random when you first look at it, about 50 meters out. But what it does, it kind of forces you or pushes you to hit the ball a little bit to the right. And then you obviously then get blocked out by the additional mound or dune that's right next to the green on the right-hand side. So you start looking at it like that, and you think to yourself, wait, hold on a second. This is quite clever golf course architecture going on here, not just a unique and silly hole. So that's actually how I came about selecting Ibotsi as my second choice. Unfortunately, kind of like what I said yesterday, I've earmarked my 4 par 5s, and again, it didn't quite make the list.
Yeah, Fats, you've gone with the same hole for your second choice.
Yes, I totally agree with Dylan regarding the 4 par 5 we want to choose, or I have chosen for my course. Right, Botsi, that hole, I really hate that I love that hole, if that makes any sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
100%.
I usually when I play, I do hit a good tee shot with either my 4-iron or a hybrid, like 20 meters short of those dunes. Trying to keep it left, so you got a shot to the green, and usually I do have a shot, and I either stick it or 80% of the time I do push it right, and then I am in trouble. I've never played that hole where I laid up and gone for it in 3. I've always gone for it with my second shot, and that's bitten me. But lovely hole. I think if like Dylan described, if you just play it, just up the fairway, get a nice 8-iron in your second shot, and you got maybe a wedge in for your third, not that scary. That dune on the right-hand side of the green is the one that usually bites you.
Cool. All right, Ryan, you had a second choice. We know what that is, so take us through your second choice.
So it was Peakenoid 7th. It's quite a hole for me. Again, back to the whole growing up playing Peakenoid from a young age. I actually know the guy, Grant Blankenberg, who has made the Albatross, first recorded Albatross there, which was a driver 3-wood. Obviously, a bit of luck involved, I would imagine. But yeah, it's a hell of a hole. I don't think that often it's a 2-club par 5, and it's the green is hellishly protected by bunkers and slopes. And then it's a long, not thin, but it is narrow at sort of 45 degrees the green. And if the
very shallow green.
Yeah, and if the pin's back right, it kind of makes your decision easier that you need to lay it up left side of the fairway, and then you've got a pretty easy wedge in. But if it's front, it does bring you into trying to force a longer shot in towards the green. Maybe you get a good bounce and it goes on, because it is. I mean, the Peakenoid fairways do run. If there's been a hell of a lot of rain, they're normally quite firm, and they do release. But for me, it's a good thinking par 5, but unfortunately not one that will make this list. Again, as they've said, there's four or five that are definitely worthy of our list from the other courses. But yeah, like I say, it's a great hole. Interesting tee shot, because you're quite blocked by the bunkers that are right in front of you. You think you can carry them, but they're actually a lot further than they look. And then it just comes down to your second shot, really, to set up the hole.
Great. Okay. I lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? I was going to say, let's recap on some of the other holes. Right. I'm just going to throw some names out, and if you want to comment on it, have a go. Royal Joburg doesn't come into our conversation very often. Ryan, what do you think of the 7th at Royal Joburg?
I think it's a great hole. It's a great par 4. It seems like this is all I say. Again, it's a thinking hole. You can pull out a driver and go for a bit of shape, or if you do hit a high ball, you can take on the trees that are on the left hand side that kind of block the tee box. But it's not needed. It's a hole that makes you think it's longer than it is because of the uphill. My play there, we played in and out, week in, week out. And my play there is literally 3-iron or 4-iron off the box, and you leave yourself with sort of 150, 160 up the hill. But to probably the quickest green on Royal East. Quite a heavy slope green, and honestly, it is probably the slickest green on Royal East. So if you go behind the pin and you've got to putt back down the hill, it's quite scary. But if you hit that green in the right place, definitely a rewarding hole. And if you get off with a birdie, you've definitely made a shot or two on the field.
Okay, so everybody commenting and watching live, we want Arini or Houghton. So we'll decide after we touch on the Tiger full match that's coming up tomorrow, and then we'll make our final decision and give you a chance to choose, because it's pretty close. Okay, we said yesterday we were going to touch on the Tiger and full game. Here it is. Here's some stats for you. Tiger Woods, 15 majors, 82 PGA Tour wins, is with his partner Peyton Manning. And Phil Mickelson, 5-time major champion, 44 PGA wins, and he's with Scott Brady. Now, I just wanted to throw in there, if you were a betting man and you go to World Sports Betting, well, this is the odds for the game. This is for the outright win. And yes, Mickelson and Brady are favorites at 31-20. That means for 100 Rand, you put down, you win 70. So you can see how they're a favorite there. But if you back Tiger and Manning, the odds is 8-5. So if you put $100, you'll win 160 Rand. And there are so many more markets on World Sports Betting. So, yes, it will be very interesting viewing. It starts at 9 o'clock tomorrow evening. And there's some formats within it. Does anybody know what the formats within it are?
Yeah, they're playing better ball in the front nine.
And then alternating back.
The NFL guys getting shots on 3, 5, and 8, I think it is.
Okay.
And they're also playing with forward tees as opposed to Full and Tiger. And then they're playing modified foursomes or alternate shot on the back nine, where they all hit their tee shots, and then they'll play alternate shot from there.
I think that is an unbelievably clever way of doing it. It's going to make it really interesting.
Yeah.
Having
It's
the
not
pros
enough to the pros.
tee shot, have the pros hitting the tee shots, or vice versa. But like the second shots, I think it's going to be awesome. I don't have much else to say. I think it's going to be a good watch.
Like, you can imagine Full spinning one off the green, and then Tom Brady chunking a chip.
Yeah.
Just see that.
The 14th, they're doing a one club. So obviously pick a club and you play the whole hole with that club.
Yeah.
That's going to be good to watch.
I saw something about that. I always forget his name. The basketball dude that's in all the videos with his horrible swing. He's putting down. Yeah, Shaq's putting down $200,000 or something on a hole, on a better than bogey or something. So whoever makes better than bogey, he's putting $200,000 towards it. So again, like last week's match, the fundraising, it's an awesome concept. And you know what? For us to get to see some live sport and some golf, obviously specifically,
Keen.
I think it's going to be awesome.
Let me go around. Who are we going for, Fats? Who's your prediction for? Who's your money on?
I think, look, I'm a big Tiger fan. So I'm backing Tiger's team.
Mm-hmm.
But the articles I've read and the interviews I've watched, Brady is a really good golfer as an amateur. So I think he's going to make a difference on the Mickelson side of things. But as in Tiger's interview today, he's done a lot of work with his partner, sending him videos, what he can work on, which drills he can do for this and that. So he's actually taking it quite seriously. It's gonna be a great match, but I'm backing Tiger.
Okay, so we've got one for Tiger. I'm going to go for Tiger as well. Dylan, you're going for?
My heart always go for Tiger, but my brain's gonna go for Full.
Okay.
The reason being, I want Tiger to win, but the reason being, I always find in these type of things that Tiger struggles to get up for it.
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously just been through and done so much in his wonderful career that same as the last match, it's just kind of like these sort of obviously for a great cause, but these charitable events doesn't quite bring out the best in him. You know what I'm saying? And he doesn't quite switch on as well as he would in a major, or if he was chasing a title or chasing a record. So I feel like there's going to be a few loose shots from Tiger as he's not in the zone and he's kind of messing around a little bit. And that plays right into Full's hands, really. Full's been a showman from day one. That's his game. That's how he plays. That's how he's made his career. So I think it'll fall more into his hands in this format. So my money, unfortunately, is on Full.
Okay, so we've got 2 for Tiger, 1 for Full. Ryan?
I'm definitely going Tiger. I've been watching a bit of fun PGA obviously he's a hero to me as well growing up. He's the guy that got me involved in golf. I was one of the guys that had a little Tiger set. But also I've been watching a couple of interviews, at his house, and yes, I agree with what Bill's saying. He has struggled in these sort of charity events to get into the game. But I think purely because of what happened last year with Phil, or the year before, whenever it was the big match, I think he's got a point to prove. He's lost a couple to Phil in these sort of events, and I think he's going to want to win. And Peyton Manning's not going to let him not get in the zone. Peyton Manning's a winner. He's a through and through winner. The guy's been through so many injuries, come back and proven that he is the GOAT, well, a wannabe GOAT maybe in NFL, playing with the GOAT of golf. So We'll see.
3 to Tiger, 1 to Phil. And finally, Mr. Baz, you have it up. Okay, what are you going for?
So to be honest, I don't really have a specific because it all depends who practiced the most in this pandemic. So guys have been at home, haven't really been out on the course. So it's for those who practice hard and those who won it the most. And growing up, like everybody says, we've all watched Tiger 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and but we can't forget what Phil had to go through in his life, and still maintain a successful professional career. So as much as we all backing Tiger, Phil's going out there again to be Tiger because it's an emotional thing for Phil Mickelson that all his life, like Tiger's just beaten him. So whether it's for world ranking points or just for fundraising, Phil's going out there to show him up, So I'm backing Phil.
Cool. Thank you, everybody. So
one more thing, man.
3-2. Yes, Ryan.
Going on no one's been playing and practicing. I don't know if you guys have watched the videos of Tiger. That guy pretty much has a golf course in his backyard.
Yeah, pretty much.
Crazy, eh?
How nice.
Crazy.
Well, that's what happens when you're Tiger Woods.
He has 4 different green complexes that are laid with different grasses to practice depending on what type of upcoming course he's playing.
And I'm pretty sure he's got some medalist grass there.
Well, it's his home course, isn't it?
Come on.
Medalist is Tiger's home course, yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure he's got his fairways from medalist.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, so let's decide. Irene Houghton. We had a couple for Irene, and we had 1 or 2 for Houghton, if that helps.
I'll be honest, I picked Irene. I'm leaning towards Houghton after thinking about it and listening to Baz explain. So I'm going to be that guy and change my shout out.
What a guy.
Okay, let's see. So
I'm going for 5 in a row, but I'm being honoured.
So it's now in this stakes, it's 3 for Houghton and 2 for Irene.
What are you going for, man?
I went with Houghton in the end because I think it's prettier.
You did.
So now we got. I just want to remind us of the poll. How many went for the poll? You see, the poll. The 7 went for Irene, and 5 went for Houghton. So we're kind of tied up. But I think.
And the comments?
Quibbers went for Irene. Leon van Aarde just said Houghton. Delilah, thanks for watching and joining us. She went for Irene. Okay, are we keeping tabs?
Yes.
They're going up the comments. Dorian says Irene. There you go, Dorian. Carl likes both holes, but he's going for Irene. Irene's leading. Yes.
Because Houghton's a hard hole for those guys.
and as Quibber says on the chat, there isn't really another hole for Irene that will fit in to our 18. So that's probably going to be the best one, I think.
Remember on top of that, we've got Kyalami, waterfront and left, same as that hole at Houghton. And then I know a lot of you have Firethorn 17th, waterfront and left, same as that hole at Houghton. So you're going to end up with 3 very similar par 3s if you put Houghton in there.
Okay.
I totally have to agree with Dylan. We had a chat offline about that, and that changed my mind actually quite a bit on my course. You can't have 3 similar par 3s in your 18 holes, and especially now not 2 similar par 3s on the same line.
Right.
But that's why you put the 13th hole at Irene in, guys. You cannot like that hole. Do you know which hole that is? Do you know which hole I'm talking about?
It's
the
that par
13th
3
hole.
To the
with
the
the
church
ruins
nose.
behind the green.
Mm.
Beautiful par 3.
That was my first pick from Irene initially.
Wow, best par 3 on that golf course.
That's you say.
But does it
you
make
say.
it one of the best?
I'm not making the
70 out
call.
of
You make the call.
Out of the courses we're selecting.
Mm-hmm.
on the course we're selecting, there'll be 72 par 3s. Does that make the cut? I don't think that makes
that is true, Dil.
David is power and his power line.
Okay.
And there's power line. And there's a cow field.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Exactly.
Listen, if we go Houghton or Irene, I win. I've changed my mind to go Houghton, so if it gets it, I win. If I don't, it's on my list as Irene, so I win anyway.
Okay. We're going to go and we're going to count them up, and I think Irene is leading, so we're going to go with Irene.
On the
I
poll
think it's fair.
and the comments.
Yes.
I like you, Maz.
All right.
You're the boss.
Let's just be.
It's in there.
All right, boys.
Listen, we're in South Africa.
We have
Politics
gone-
means nothing. There's no democracy here.
We've gone for 31 minutes, which is over our allotted time. We don't want to keep you on your phones forever, so thank you for joining us. Hole 8 will not be tomorrow, so it will most likely be on Monday. And then we'll get through them. Okay, everybody, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And once again, wave goodbye, applause. Thank you, Basil, for joining us.
Cheers. No
Until
stress. Enjoy, gentlemen.
the next time.
Yes.
Stay safe.
Hey, dudes.